We're at the ADE, Amsterdam Dance Event. This is Beth Yen. Just come fresh off the boat from Pukka Up parties over in Ibiza to Australia, and Head Candy resident, and over in Amsterdam having fun. So originally, Nottingham to Sydney.
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
I grew up in Nottingham and graduated, and you know, you get to that point where you're like, I want to see the world. I was working in recruitment, very few people know that, and for about a year or so, and then I just packed my bags and went, right, I'm going to Australia for a bit, go and see other parts like America and New Zealand.
So you actually went off on a world tour?
Around the world sort of trip.
Yeah. And you thought, right, Sydney was the one that you
Sydney was
most?
like my last stop, yeah, and I just sort of fell in love with it.
So you started out DJing at university, and then how did you get at the free parties, and then how did you, did somebody from a promoter or something come down to see you playing and invited you to play at a club or anything like that?
No, I actually won a competition for, like, I think they used to run an annual DJ competition in Sydney, this guy called Abel, and I entered that, you know, just to give it a go, and came like third, and from that, promoters were there, heard about it, and that's how I started getting gigs.
Cutting a long story short, you've landed up working with Head Candy. Yeah,
Head Candy, actually, Jack McCord spotted me in a club called the Colombian on Oxford Street in Sydney, which is a wicked like bar club that played house music, and he happened to be there, and he walked up actually into my DJ booth, and the first thing I said to him, I said, "Wait, what are you doing? This is my booth."
Out.
And he was like, "Oh, hi, my name is Jack McCord, and I was like, oh, in my head, I thought, he looks really familiar. That name's really familiar, but you know, he was really charming. So we just like got on, had a chat, and then it was only the next day that I get this phone call, and he's like, "Oh, it's Jack. You met last night." I was like, "Yeah, all right, Jack. Yeah, bit of a large one. Yeah. How are you?" And he's like, "Would you consider, you know, touring with Head Candy throughout Australia?"
Wow.
I was like, "Sorry, what?" He goes, "I think you'd be perfect for it." So that's how it started. He gave me that opportunity, and I started.
This is right at the beginning of the Head Candy.
In Australia, yeah, because Jack McCord headed that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then from there, what, more gigs outside of Head Candy in Australia?
Yeah.
And then how do you? I mean, you know, you were the Pukka Up resident from this year.
Yeah.
So how did that happen? I mean, how did that come about off that? Did they know about you doing the Head Candy showcases, and did they just contact you?
Well, Pukka Up, basically I had an agent at the time, and I got booked for a Pukka Up party, because it's sort of similar in the terms of, you know, the music is funky house, in Sydney at the time, and I did that, and then the promoter, I really got on with him, and he loved what I did, and again, same thing happened. They're like, you know, we'd really like you to be one of our residents.
So this was the Pukka Up parties they do in Australia. Okay.
Yeah, and then a couple of years ago, I did my first sort of guest slot in Ibiza. That just went really well for me. They loved me. I loved Ibiza and the brand. And then this year, it's the first time I'm like their resident for the whole season. Yeah. Did that like all season, and then also, you know, you get your slots at Amnesia and Pasha. You know,
oh yeah, so off the back of that, you landed up playing at Amnesia.
Amnesia and Pasha. Yeah,
Stevie Aoki's night.
Yeah, Aoki's night on Wednesday. That was wicked. And at Amnesia, I got to. I think one of the best nights was warming up for DJ Snake and Diplo and Phillips. That was mental.
Nice.
It's probably one of my favourite.
And that was
gigs.
Amnesia with Snake and...
Yeah, on the terrace.
My kid. But there's also a funny story. Tell us about that, about, you know, you getting into Pasha, blagging it
as Steve Aoki's sister. It was a complete joke. And they were really serious. The guy at the front got on the radio and was like, "Is Aoki's sister at the door?" Some guy comes out, walks me straight through. And I was like, "Oh, brilliant." And
all
my
your
6 friends. Yeah, they're like, "Which ones are with you?" 6 girls walked straight in, and their faces, I was like, "Don't say anything, just walk straight in." And we did. It's brilliant. Yeah.
But you had a good time over in Ibiza for the summer? I mean, it must have been a great experience. Living there, as opposed to even just going out there to DJ and coming out again.
Yeah.
Living there for the whole summer. I mean, that's quite a big experience.
It is living there. You get, well, I got into the sort of that way of life and discovering so many gems, places,
beaches and stuff.
Beaches, restaurants, parties, villa parties that you'd never know about if you just flew in for a holiday, 8 days or whatever, and flying out, and then getting to know people who've done it more than a couple of seasons or lived there.
Yeah.
And that was great. And because you're there, you meet all these great people, and you get to experience Ibiza, the so-called real Ibiza, as opposed to
You really get sucked into the way of life, I can imagine. So I mean, that must be quite strange now. Now the season's over.
I know, really sad.
You know, and you've got to go back home.
Yeah.
It's going to have to surely be a bit of a adapt.
Yeah, there's
culture.
Absolutely. There might be slight anticlimax.
Yeah.
I guess one thing that is good is it'll be summertime, well, approaching summer, so the weather will be good. But yeah, there aren't any clubs like Amnesia and Pasha.
New Year's Eve.
New Year's
Eve.
Doing a big gig, a new festival up the East Coast. New Year's Day, so that would be good. It'd be good to be away from Sydney.
Still around Sydney?
No, it's further up. It's closer to like Brisbane. Yeah.
Do you know what it's called?
Beach House. I actually don't know the name of the festival as yet because it's their first year.
Okay, well, Beach House Australia. That's where Beth's going to be for New Year's Eve.
Absolutely.
Make sure you're there. And what's the plans coming up?
For what? Sorry.
Production.
A lot of house music.
Lots of house music.
Lots of house music. And maybe even future house, who knows? Hey?
We'll see.
We'll see.
So we go, thank you, Beth.
Thank you so much, Ollie, for your time.
No problem. And so, if you're in Australia, if you're going to be near Sydney, make sure you check her out. And what's your website?
www.bethyen.com.
There you go.